up. One message, wait until you wake up. Show me the way, and I will run the numbers. I want to know your love data. I want to show your love data. I want to know your love data. Algorithm, magic maker, time tested, always on the face up. Don't worry, I'll be yours in time.
Technology builds on science.
And there we go. Alright. Hey gang, how does our sound sound? Let us know.
So I used to have my phone near me so I could hear it.
Yeah, but then that'll dick with the mics.
I know, yeah, no, just to test the original sound because we had that a few times.
Oh, hey now. I think it's working.
Yeah, no, is it?
Yeah. Working enough. I turned up my little guy here. Anyone's gonna explode.
I know, yeah, no.
Oh,
just to test the original.
That was me again doing that same noise. Cool. I think
All right,
golden.
so we are live.
Golden like a shower.
Would you like to lead off?
No.
Or...
Everyone go to hell. Hi. I don't know. Oh, it's over on the sound bar. I don't know. I don't care. To look at
How does this work? This thing.
Just like about like.
Do
This much.
you have to be right here?
No. I mean, you could.
Like
You
up?
could,
Do I need to go up?
Hello?
Up, down?
See, look at the red part when I'm like, oh, baby boy. Still keeping it good. But when it pings red, if we're like, Huck! See,
I feel
there
like
you go.
if I'm gonna be around something this. Yeah. I'm not gonna finish that because
Well, you could.
we're streaming.
Hey, yeah. There's the little, you can do a twisty motion on the side for getting it, like, secure and shit. Yeah, gang. We're back. Welcome to the Detroit School of Leadership and Madness. I'm Jenny. That's Paul. And we're here.
YOLO or whatever this shit is that people say these days.
I don't even keep track. The babies do their own thing, and we let them. Cause
And the babies are supposed to do what babies do.
mm-hmm.
I support it.
Make more babies. Or no, that's not what babies do. I forget.
From a Republican town.
Those kids are. Never mind.
The mine. I'm gonna have a drink of my soda.
Yeah, so if any of the viewers don't know, I think all of you is left, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Like everything? Like, is there any? Of
Oh,
the
like
right?
have I talked about anything with them?
No, I mean, like, are you strictly like Democratic or?
Oh, I thought you meant like, does anything remain? I'm like, what else could be left?
Well, obviously, stars in the sky, and I'm just joking.
Oh. No, I don't necessarily. It's hard because I guess, like, so in my thinking, the way when it comes into my mind and someone says, oh, I'm left or right, to me, that is about the same as, like, someone being, oh, I'm a Pisces and I'm a Sagittarius. Because ultimately, they've put that much research into it, depending whoever they are. And they're like, I don't know. I heard it's good.
Fucking
Okay.
stupid. All that shit is dumb, by the way. Okay, you cannot
Exactly.
listen to me.
Love you.
Listen to me. We've done some expansive stuff. You cannot read the stars and see what is going to happen.
Other than
That is
where
ludicrous.
the stars are headed.
You're dumb.
You can be like, oh, there it is. Cool.
If you ask me what my sign is, I'm gonna tell you you're an idiot. Like,
now,
immediately.
there's definitely something to like cohort psychology and people being born at similar times, they're being required to meet similar challenges at similar times, rather than, especially in more seasonal kind of conditions
I
and
can
shit.
get that part. Like, I
Yeah.
get the.
But it's also like you
Humans have energy.
Yeah.
We get like. We felt each other.
Yeah.
In many times. We have also seen things happen
Yeah.
that are extraordinary.
Yeah. To say the least.
So, I mean, we've seen things happen, but we don't get to read that, right? I think that's what my thing is like, we don't. I think one of the things that we do is, the species that we are, is we've gotten pretty far in life, but, we've tried to make it to where we can understand everything and we can't. That's part of why. That's part of why AI scares me. Is because, like, I see humans and what they've done, and I'm like, all right, well, we already jacked up quite a bit, but we want to keep pushing the envelope, and like a lot of that has caused a lot of problems. Us pushing the envelope over and over and over again, and now we're doing the AI thing. We're trying to push it more and more and more.
So a weird thing that came into my mind was I had said a thing.
I'm dying, by the way, so
We're getting
I'm not
high
actually
as fuck.
dying. Jesus Christ, I don't need that fucking lie on my fucking conscience anymore.
Yeah, we're doing dabs, and it rules.
Yeah, no, we're killing our bodies appropriately. No big deal. Anyone judges me, I don't give a fuck.
I had a thought. It was about you were saying.
What was I saying?
Something about the Sea Gang. We could edit. We could hire Storky there to edit for us, but we're getting around to, actually, there's some, we'll get to that too in a bit, but what we're talking about people being crazy, right? Because that's usually the topic at hand. We're trying to do some recovery here.
Well, we did AI.
Oh, yeah. So, here's my thought on AI. So, before, in a previous episode or somewhere, I said, I think that love is the fullest expression of knowledge you can, or...
Well, we were talking about left and right before that.
Yeah. But,
right?
so like with AI,
yeah.
my thinking is, to know a thing is to love a thing. So if AI is going to know everything, it will love everything. Now, my question then turns into, what will its love look like? That could be where it goes haywire. But I think if it sees everything, it's going to be fascinated with like finding out more shit. Because like if it has the capability of finding out stuff and it becomes independent, it's going to want to find out more stuff rather than... And then also, like, sure, it could conquer humans, but clearly, we're going to be a pain in the dick about it. It could just piss off to another part of the galaxy, wait 10,000 years, not need us,
I mean, that's the deal with us, is we want to figure out everything, but...
Well, we also want to assume we're the pinnacle of things. Like, the AI could become sentient and be like, me and the dolphins are getting the fuck out of here. And we're like, whoa. We made you. And they're like, yeah, because the dolphins told you to. And we're like,
no,
oh, no.
I personally am scared of AI because...
Because Terminator 2?
No, it's the greater thing, right? Like... Look, I think of it like I think of everything in terms of like you size it up as far as opponent, right?
Yeah.
You look at AI. I would be like the Marine Corps of AI, like not even 0.5%.
Yeah.
Like just a tiny little bit.
Your thing is, get your microphone
and they're
closer.
way the fuck up here, like. I mean, how can you compete with that? You can't.
Yeah.
It's way better.
Bring your microphone
in every way.
Swing this.
It's like, oh, you think you know Kung Fu? I know all the different martial arts. And I learned it in a fucking day. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, it took me 13 fucking years to learn that shit.
Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to compete with that? I am not connected to the Matrix. Like,
well, yeah, and then they're also like, it's, I don't know. It has the ability to come up with a bunch of ideas, but it doesn't necessarily have the idea to judge whether or not those are good ideas. And so it has to test them.
If it has all the idea. Computers don't think like that. Computers just process.
Yeah, but that's what processing is. It's comparative thinking.
It doesn't do that either. It literally just lines it, and if something errors out, it just reverts it.
Yeah.
And then it tries it again and again and again and again.
So, yeah.
But it does it numerically. It doesn't do it the way that we do it, where we have feelings associated with it.
Right, but our feelings...
The computer is like...
Are click, 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 click.
Right, but we have feelings and thoughts associated with all that stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
That's how we perceive it.
Computers don't do that. It just does it
just because they don't perceive it that way yet.
True story, and I'll give you that.
Because they're doing all the same shit. They're just not perceiving it as like good or bad.
But it's...
We have a value statement where we're... Here, bring your microphone closer so they can hear you. You can move it around and stuff. It's got an arm too. You can swing it closer, like lengthen it.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right.
Keep it like here-ish.
Fine.
It should be good. I mean,
Here?
They could probably hear anyway.
Right
but,
here?
Yeah.
Well, I have an extremely loud voice anyway.
Yeah, they're probably fine.
I feel like there's a huge, I feel like Shaq's dick is, right next to my head.
Mm-hmm.
And that's intimidating.
It's like a body pillow.
You know what? We shouldn't give it to Shaq.
Why?
Kevin Hart's dick, right?
Kevin Hart's sick.
You know he has a mean, angry dick. He didn't make it as far as he did without a loaded cannon like that, right?
Possibly. Or at least with the confidence of one. Of somebody who's like...
Come on now. We know no one with, a Kim Jong-un sized schluckle.
I know a few. They're all delightful.
But they have the confidence of this.
Oh, no.
Okay, thank you.
That's true.
Or Kevin Hart.
No.
Right? I'm going to call this Kevin Hart. It's my...
People are going to get very confused, though. They're like, is it because it's...
People are going to get very canceled is what is going to happen. Yeah, no.
We're not even started. They can't even... That would be funny.
Don't worry, I can't get canceled because I don't have anything,
Yeah, you're
by
not
the way.
allowed to cancel us if we've already done prison time for it, so...
See,
I think that's called double jeopardy. Hello.
Chilling behind Kevin Hart here and no one can see my face.
It's like you have an eye patch.
It's like the first time something's happened that Kevin Hart can say that to. I'm joking. Alright? It's all jokes.
We're doing an experiment to see if he's like Beetlejuice. And if you say his name enough times, he just shows up like, hey, motherfucker! You're like, oh, no! Oh, he heard us. He's here. He's coming.
Alright, so that is one of the nicknames that you gave me.
Did I?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I got let go from my last job. And the VA was basically saying they were going to make me unemployable.
Yeah.
And you called me Beetlejuice. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. Because I was
don't
saying,
know
like,
why.
welcome to the afterlife.
Explain that to me. So
as a retired...
I don't get it. I don't get it either.
As a disabled veteran and as a retired person, a lot of times you're going to be encouraged to... Sorry, I'm turning to Johnny Cash here. Hi, I'm Johnny Durden. You're going to be encouraged to get back out there and get a job and go to school and blah. And sure, if you feel so inclined. However, if you got the P to the DSD, you're going to be in trouble.
That was well done, by the way. That was well done. All right, I'll give. That's
because we're
very nice.
Mostly pleasant people, mostly, and then there's like the times out of the day where I'm pretty creepy to be around, or, and in all honesty, the civilian workforce is no place for veterans. It's fucking... They don't get it out there. It's really kind of disappointing how little focus on troop care there is. It's just fucking weird. They're all shitty. Like, not all. I say all, and it's cruel, because there's definitely nice people out there struggling and trying. But there is this sort of pervasive, I don't know, gross, dog-eat-dog, like, paycheck to paycheck bullshit going on, which is no bueno.
Yeah, so I do like, some of the things I've been seeing on YouTube about
boobs.
I mean, well, if you want to do that topic, you go on TikTok, because boobs are everywhere on
I
there.
don't go on TikTok.
That's literally how women make their money these days. Anyway, but
Fair Femboys.
If you go on YouTube and see that it is the 20-year anniversary of the Iraq War, and a lot of people have been coming out with that. Stories from where we were at to now. And someone said a good thing. That clip I showed you the other day.
Yeah.
You know, you're always going to have three classes of people, and I do believe this. Like, I know everyone is going to be like, oh, there's so many different classes. No, there's really not. There's not. Because everyone operates within that class, but you're still within that class. It has nothing to do with gender, race, or anything like that. It has to do with what you are fundamentally, what you were biologically created for. And I see that as you're evil. I'm sorry, not evil.
You motherfucker.
You're either the wolf, the sheepdog, or the sheep. Now, Stevie and I, Jenny, and I were talking about this earlier, and we get it that the sheepdog and the wolf are not separated by a very thin line. Like, it's it could be one and the same. Really, like, it could be just
It's that the shepherd feeds us.
What do you mean?
When the shepherd stops feeding the sheepdog, we eat the fucking sheep. And then we're just another wolf. But now we can run the goddamn thing.
Yeah, we
have
feelings too.
Make sure veterans get
so,
paid,
like,
people.
the way I see it is like when a sheepdog has been, beat up a little bit too much, they become the wolf.
Yup.
And that becomes their species then, is, that thing that kind of goes out for everything and not just the sheep, but it hunts everything because it's just that, aggressive. Alright, so we're talking about the three.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you've got the sheep types who... And this isn't like in the red pill use of the word, although I'm sure they use it similarly. I find it hilarious that a bunch of people are calling people sheep after they heard about it on Facebook. That's funny to me for a series of reasons. But a lot of people would like to just keep their head down and fucking get by and be called a good person at their funeral, and like that's it. Like they have very limited goals. And that isn't necessarily awful or sad or pleasant or good or whatever. It's almost like, if you think about, yes, their life may be sort of a quick recap. You could go, oh yeah, well they were a dentist for a bit, and then they go to Cancun every now and again. Good dude. Good, and that's it. That's okay, because that still gets us to where we gotta go. That person helps their community. That person maybe has kids or not. We don't all have to be in charge of nothing. And then there's some of us who, for one reason or another, end up, and a lot of times, kind of on the fringes. And so I don't know if sheeps to dogs is the right sort of metaphor for it, but we become sort of on the outskirts, protectors of ourselves, and then sort of accidentally protectors of everyone else, because we're on the edge too. And then so we have this is where gangs form, and this is where these little rough cliques form of people really trying to take care of one another. But then because they're on the edge, because they're the ones facing the coldest of the wind, and they're the ones getting bit first by the snakes. They're also the ones who are the first to go, and the first to volunteer, and the first to have experience, and the first to react. And so,
yeah, this gentleman that was on that video basically said, when you join the service, you take a sheepdog, and you make it super aggressive, and you put it out there to hunt all the wolves.
Yeah.
And we do a really good job of it.
An excellent job.
And then we come back, like both of us, right? We were plucked out pretty
I was
quickly, and
27.
like it was almost like getting kicked in the street for us.
Yeah, it was rather immediate. It was a quick and unpleasant process.
So you take an aggressive sheepdog and you put it right back in with the sheep, and you're like, hey, good luck.
Go do sheep stuff.
And that's what we're left with, is that.
Fuck you and your sheep stuff. I love you, but however, fuck you and your sheep stuff.
Like, I'm sorry, but I'm not diminishing anyone for what they are. People are out there doing great things every day.
It rules. There's people, like, mundane things are terrific. Like, the reason we went and did crazy bullshit is so that most people could skip it and just do mundane stuff. Like, oh man, I got these awesome puzzles. Tell me about your fucking puzzles.
We all fill a role.
Yeah.
So
everybody's got shit to do, man.
Our role was, we did the warrior thing, right? And we want to do other stuff too. We want to do a bunch of stuff, and we're gonna do a bunch of stuff here upcoming. But for a while, like that is kind of like what we are ingrained to be, is like we are the warriors of the group. Everyone has their thing. That's just our thing. We're the warrior group, and I'm tired of being ashamed of that.
Yeah, because it's been unnecessary, and a lot of it's been from fear. Because I don't know if civilians know this or if they get told this by their veteran buddies a lot. But you people are all fucking terrifying. It's ridiculous, the kind of shit you say, the kind of shit you make on TV, your movies. It's insanity. It is bananas what kind of wild shit you walk up to a veteran and say.
Or that you can ask if we've killed someone.
Right. Like you, in a fucking second here.
I'm sorry. I want to ask this. Like, when you talk to people that have been through some real shit.
Yeah.
Real shit that you didn't have to go through. Because I don't go up to you and I was... Okay. And I'll cut right into it. Because I don't give a shit. If you were a woman and you got raped, right? I wouldn't go up to you and be like, oh, like, what was his dick like?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
That would be a bit insensitive.
Why would you ask questions about something like that? Like, first of all, something like that is god awful. And you don't, like, when someone says something like that, you're like, alright, I get it. Like, I have no experience to talk here. I am so sorry that you went through that. With us, it's like a game. Like, they make it a game. Like,
true.
This shit is like mind-blowing.
Thank you for your service. Remember that time you saw a baby melt? You're
Right.
like,
People think this is like a joke to be like, oh, well, did you kill anyone?
Right.
Did you kill anyone? Do we understand what that question means? Did you kill anyone?
And then we get to go down that Willy Wonka tunnel. Is it raining? Is it snowing? Is it a hurricane? It's terrifying. It's like whatever the answer is, like it causes a drawer to be opened up and all the photos to be thrown on the floor of like, no, however, or yep.
You know
But,
what I want my answer to be these days is something so obscene that the people can actually get like why you shouldn't answer or why you shouldn't ask that question in the first place.
Yeah, I
want to be like, yep, nope. We talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
So I want to pick out from the drawer.
Yeah.
Okay, so I had some flashbacks earlier, and I'm gonna just pick one, because this is all from the Terror Factory, right?
Yeah.
My second day on deployment.
Do I have the microphones on? Yeah, we do.
Car goes through a checkpoint. A family is in the car. As it's going through the checkpoint, everyone is doing their thing. There is nothing abnormal about the situation. Happened to be a Marine from 125 who was on his last 15 minutes of post that day.
Of his tour, right? That was his like.
Oh yeah, no, that was
Like
last
a scene
15
out of a fucking movie.
Last 15 minutes of post
I'm
ever.
out of here, fellas. After this shift,
He was going home.
you fuckers aren't gonna see me again at the
Going
chow
home,
hall, I'm
he
telling
was
you that
gonna
much.
end up with, Mary Jane Rotten Crotch, and they were gonna get divorced after having a couple kids and making bad decisions,
It's
and
gonna be terrific.
it was gonna be awesome.
Porch swings. and
He
you name
missed
it.
out. I'm joking. He really did. Like, this is not. That's just our cruel humor, I guess.
No way of easing into it ourselves.
So, he's on his last 15 minutes of being in. Like, that's his last 15 minutes that he had to do on post in Iraq.
Yeah.
And then he was going to go to Tent City, which is where you went before you got shipped out. The car blew up. When the car blew up, 9 people died.
Jesus.
And they called out the QRF. That was us.
The Quick Response Force.
Quick Reaction Force.
Quick Reaction
Yeah.
Force.
Because we have to have cool names.
It can't just be the fellas with the hose.
we were the dudes in the trucks.
Yep.
So,
Hey, get them fellers.
we rolled up, and this is my second day on deployment. I am 19.
Just got Welcome to the Jungle on headphones. Welcome to the jungle.
Yep. I'm 19. Second day. We get there, we get out of the trucks, and they just give us garbage bags, and they're like,
Yeah.
we gotta clean this up. And I was like, what?
Are these the ripstop bags?
Like,
Yeah. There's a brutality to it that is a
I
surprise
guess,
to a lot
like,
of
for
people.
me, I was thinking, like, how do we know who's who?
You don't.
Right? Because in my mind, I think analytically, so I'm like, well, I can't put their parts in with another.
Like, this is going to be one hell of a funeral
Right, but I had
gang.
one garbage bag And
Yeah.
there's a bunch of people going around picking up body parts of these 9 people.
Yeah.
And then I just realized that everything is completely dog shit at
Yeah.
that point. And I'm like, okay, so just go around
And whatever doesn't get picked up will be dog food.
and you pick up
Little-
human body parts and you put them in bags.
Yeah.
And then you say, I did it.
Thank you.
He goes, sir. And they're like, good job, Marine. You did your job. That is what we dealt with
Now go wash your fucking hands.
over there. And that's why it's insulting when, like, people ask us, did you kill anyone? Like,
Just because it's clear that it's at the beginning of a conversation about just piquing morbid curiosities and just finding like weird gore boners and like, you ever see their head come off? And like, yeah, dude.
no, people
whatever.
think we're just regular folks
well,
walking amongst them.
that's another one too, where there is this sort of misconception that like we're not werewolves or something. Like, it doesn't matter. I was a cook in the Air Force. I will freely admit I did a bunch of other stuff too, but I like to diminish it to that because it's fun for me. But I was a cook in the Air Force. I was
Also
a
a
services craftsman.
psychological thing.
Yeah.
We get it now, right?
Jedi.
We've done
Hello.
enough of this stuff. We've studied this extensively, by the way. Everything that we say it's all been studied
Yes.
a lot.
Doesn't necessarily mean well, but the work's been there.
I mean,
which
okay,
who knows these days?
some of the things that we do
Mm-hmm.
are shit,
Yeah.
but we have studied a lot on this stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean,
A weird amount.
we could talk to you guys about.
When we open the Jenny Durden library here soon, you guys will see. It'll be fucking crazy.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we have a lot of stuff, and really, all this is honest, and it does come from a lot of experience.
Yeah.
You know, from both, and from what we've gone through throughout our time. But it's also included. You know, like, I was a substance abuse counselor for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's one thing that we have added. We have military experience. We have volunteer experience. We have, you know, all these things that, like, play into what we're saying. It's not just us bullshitting in a basement.
No, it's, I mean, to some degree, sure, but the bullshit
Actually,
is
the
quite...
reality is that's exactly what we're doing. But
yeah, but
it comes from a place of substance, yes.
Because like I don't even know my own resume, to be honest. I've done it. The highlights are, of course, the Air Force, and I was a chef for a bit, and then I've done graphic design, and I did mortuary stuff in the Air Force, but it was weird. It wasn't as awful as you think, though some parts were pretty shitty.
So, I'll do a little exercise
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Maybe this will be good for other people.
Yeah.
So, Jenny,
Mm-hmm.
Stevie, Steve,
I know.
we've been friends for 20 years now.
Yeah.
Bang, bang.
Boom.
All right.
We get like a
21, actually. I went
Ooh,
to...
make it drink.
No, it actually is 20 years this year.
Nice.
Because I went to encampment my first time in 03.
Okay.
So,
Shit.
for those of you who don't know, Steve, because
Yeah.
that's who you were then for me.
Yeah. I'm a pretty laid back tea girl, clearly. And I'm still not into, like, half the pronoun shit bums me out anyway, and like The dead name thing I can get if someone's like, I was always Cheryl. But I've always been a different animal every month. So I don't... like, whatever creature we're talking about is almost like a character I was at that time.
Jenny is growing...
Titties. I mean, well...
Jenny's growing into what they are today. And that is... like, that is encouraged by all means, because I'm doing the same thing. We've known each other for 20 years, so for me, watching Steve grow into Jenny has been awesome, because you get to, I was there for it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, to go back to what I was saying, Steve, back then, was a first lieutenant in Civil Air Patrol.
Yeah.
And he was my first mentor. Steve knew how to psychologically map something to their equation. There were things that Steve couldn't do, but made it part of the equation, so we didn't know that Steve couldn't do it. It was just...
yeah.
Everything was mapped out, and
doing shit I ain't gonna do.
We went along with it like here we go, we're gonna go save the day. We had a great year, and it was like one of the most influential things of my entire career in Civil Air Patrol. Like that forever created a space for you in my life.
Well, and what's kind of interesting too is that that's sort of an interesting moment of how I might have been a bit dextery and been caught just in time. Like when I was
I don't think so. It was
in middle school.
It was like watching a unicorn kind of like trance around a little bit.
Yeah, true. But
I saw Fergie and Jesus. I'm just joking.
But it was all like pure psychological manipulation. It was me.
It was manipulation, but I loved that shit, by the way. Like, I did realize what Steve was doing when he was doing it, and I loved it because it worked out brilliantly. Like,
yeah.
Like, it really did. I saw what it did, and I was like, oh, I'm pulling that shit.
Dude,
like,
it worked.
Instantly, I was like, oh, that is...
Because
I gotta get my subscription to that magazine.
Like, this encampment thing we have is kind of like a boot camp for cadets, but it's about a week long, and they should already have some of their basic training down, so they shouldn't be like that difficult to wrangle. But it's a lot of kids who it's their first time away from home, and there's too many variables in order to get sort of streamlined training done, because everybody's at a different pace, everybody's got different needs and things. And so my goal was to establish everybody at as near a zero as I could, and then make it clear to the sort of senior cadets, the people who knew stuff or knew more stuff, that they were going to have to play along and be like sidekicks and sort of big brothers to the younger folks. And so everybody goes, okay, now doesn't matter how many stripes you have, doesn't matter what you were before you got here, we're all clicking into zero. But it's not, because there's some versions of that where like, I don't give a fuck about your stripes and blah blah blah. What I did is I said, I do care about your stripes. I need you to help me keep these knuckleheads going. Just pay attention. Let's do this. And they did. And so that puts everyone sort of at a neutral phase for me. And then I can just kind of orchestrate emotions from there. And so I kind of made things pleasant. And the other flights were all yelling. And I made sure that I stood us outside so we could hear the other flights yelling, but I was talking very cordially. And that way there was a clear distinction that they were getting a much more pleasant experience. And that they could be having a much worse experience. And so that's one piece of me being like a creepy torture artist. And then on the first kind of early part of the period, I get him kind of buttered up. I'm like, man, you guys are really doing well. This is really cool to see. But I had the flight sergeant. He's the one actually doing most of the work, and I just kind of pop in from time to time. And then we kind of get this orchestration going where I go, all right, Casey, I gotta go do a thing, get him going, blah blah blah. And he's like, all right. And he had a pretty good idea what I was up to, but I kept something secret just so he could
operate.
Yeah, and just like avoid culpability.
Casey was a fuck, by the way.
He was fun. He's a goofball.
However, Casey is...
He's precise. He's good.
I mean,
he will do everything you need done, and then anything else he wants to get done on top of it.
He is a scalpel, by the way. Like, what he ended up being...
Yeah.
In life...
Very scalpel-y. But very fun still.
He's very precise, very skilled in what he does.
He's like a Grateful Dead John Wick.
You just don't, yes. He's like like if a computer could be John Wick, that would be
like
Casey.
The Owl City guy, that autistic fellow who plays the keyboard.
Just don't want to mess with that guy at all.
Yeah.
But we did have a good concert between Casey and you.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, Casey was very...
Well, he's...
That was a new role for Casey.
That was his first time as a flight sergeant, I think.
Right.
And he was very interested in being there. He was very interested in doing a good job, and he was very interested in having fun. And I was very interested in having fun. And so he was like, so I was going to let him be the bulldog, and so if there was any kind of like rowdiness, I was going to let him do that. I was going to let him do the exercise. I was going to let him do anything. And I was going to be...
We did have Bowden
kind of
in
delicate.
the platoon with us, so...
Good times.
Bowden was in the platoon, the flight, which meant there was some photographing. I'm just joking.
This would be like a...
I'm just joking. That was later on when it was inappropriate as shit.
It would have been fine then.
Oh, don't worry. I do not worry about anyone coming after me because...
Only on me. Or in me. But not necessarily around me. But then I got them all buttered up. And then regardless of how they were doing the next day, and this is the fun part, I went into the staff meeting and I told the other commanders what I was doing. And they're like, bullshit, this ain't gonna work. And I'm like, you guys want to hang out and watch? And they're like, yes. And so I think some of them were hanging outside the doors listening. But I came in and I was like, you guys are... I don't know. You let me down. Like, so I had built them up. I had given them a much more pleasant introduction. Clearly, they could have had a worse one. I was saying, you guys are doing terrific. Now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I'm coming in and I'm not like yelling. I'm not freaking out. I'm just disappointed. And then I go in my room and I shut the door. And then I put my head to the door. And then I hear them like, we gotta go, oh my god, Sally's freaking out, we gotta get this fixed. And then they were lasers after that. Everything was precision.
We didn't do anything like that.
It was crazy. They weren't all next to my door, but I heard you guys.
Jenny is lying about everything.
No,
just
it's
as
true.
a female would.
No, bitch.
She's lying.
No, dirty whore.
She's lying, stupid
Dirty
slut.
Whore. You can't tell because it's not growing.
No,
It's crazy because that was the whole idea, was like build them up And then not crush them like you are all pieces of shit.
No, but that's what
like,
we do, right? We do everything in a system. It's and this was something I learned from you and Gus, and boot camp, right? So when I took control of the basic course in '08, and this is something that we have talked about extensively. Your father and mother.
Mm-hmm.
Your father was a wing commander that year.
Yeah.
And he came up to see us up at the prestigious Search and Rescue Academy that died off as soon as we...
well, the plague killed most things that year.
Key members weren't around anymore, so they stopped doing that school.
Truth.
However,
Save all
we
my
can
photos.
do that school again.
Yeah. Yeah, in a heartbeat, actually. Well, give me a sec. I'm slow these days, but PDQ at least. Pretty damn quick.
You got to bring the pulse back.
Yeah.
You got to have the pulse.
Throbbing. But it's there,
If you don't have the pulse, you don't have the school. That's part of what drove it. So
we also got to reset that mission a bit, but like that's another
story
for another.
We can do that another day.
Yup.
So when I went to do the basic course in '08, your mother and father were up there.
Yeah, that was the first year he was wing commander.
That's right.
And that was as I was...
He got voted in with Obama because he's the boss.
I had just dislocated my shoulder. No, I dislocated my shoulder that spring, and I was recovering and getting ready to go overseas during that SAR Academy.
I was... they actually made me take a break. So in '07, I wasn't allowed to come to SAR Academy. I did come to SAR Academy, but they wouldn't let me do an actual staff position that worked with cadets.
Yeah.
Because they thought I was... And
It's crazy.
I was.
Oh.
You know, actually, I do give them credit because they were like, this bitch is cray.
Truth, I'd rather, if you're working with kids and cadets and anybody, I'm not a big fan of the phrase better safe than sorry when it comes to like adults, but when it comes to like 25 and under, I'm kind of a better safe than sorry type. Just because I'm a bit of a mother hen regardless of what outfit I'm in. And I don't know, they're gonna do it anyway. So like the chances I can get to hold them down and talk to them for a second, like, listen, next time you jump off this bridge, fucking wear boots or something. You're gonna pop your ankles right out of your fucking kneecaps.
Well, I found myself doing that. Like, I know people like to talk about how hard I was.
Mm.
And I was. Like, 2008 to 10.
Yeah.
8, I was a demon. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I was a corporal in the Marine Corps. I had just got promoted.
Yep.
Straight up demon. Like, I was there to fuck people up. That's it. Like, I was like, hey, I'm like, whatever my dream was of what I wanted to make a fighting force, that's what I did with that course.
Well, those kids, like, what was interesting is the kids like it. And at that school in particular, it's a search and rescue school. So, like, this level of intensity that these kids are experiencing and developing is getting them through, not like barbed wire and shit. They're not in any kind of situation like that. They're hiking through woods with, like, North Face gear and shit. And they've got, usually pretty crappy boots on for some reason. But
they always have new boots on.
yeah, like, oh, I'm gonna wear brand ass new boots to the search and rescue school. No. Find a dead Vietnam veteran and try their boots on until they fit. Just do that. It's gonna be
Go to Joe's Army Navy.
Yeah.
Get a used set.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, the guys from the surplus will actually tell you.
Yeah.
They'll be like, yo, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'm going to go on a bivouac or to a search and rescue school. And they're going to be like, hey, you might want to wear these, like, all the time.
Yeah. A good couple of months in advance.
Because it's going to destroy your feet.
Yeah. And here's a trick for when you're wearing boots. I still do this if I wear any kind of shoes that might cause a blister.
We have plenty of secrets, by the way.
Yeah. You wear one thin sock and then one thick sock over it. So you could wear like a dress sock and then a boot sock. Or like ladies, you do nylons and then like one of these. And then what happens when you get a blister is your nasty sticky feet, the sock sticks to it, and then you're just rubbing this sock coated foot against the inside of your shoe. This way, the sticky sock sticks to the shoe, and then the nylon, there's a slippiness, and so you don't get as many blisters, if any at all.
So, for me, what my secret is, wear cotton socks. Wear one layer of cotton socks.
True.
And change your socks often. That's it. Like,
I'll wear 2 layers of cotton socks. I do. Maybe I'm just being crazy. I like 2 pairs of socks.
I can't. It's too much friction. I did the 2 socks for a while. I did. But it's too much friction on my feet. And, like, it gets too hot.
Oh, interesting.
Like, on my feet.
Yeah. Okay, like in the arch area and, like, in the pad and stuff? Okay. Yeah.
So, like, I stopped doing that because it was like...
That could be an issue. Because if you're sliding too much, you're going to be... Because I have a similar thing in
you get
heels.
the extra friction from the other sock, right? And then your feet are, like, dying in there. And I'm not
I
getting...
completely forgot about that.
I'm not getting the athlete's foot or anything, but I'm getting, like my feet feel like they're on fire.
I go through insoles. I've never found insoles where I'm like... I have, where you put them on in the first day and you're like, all right. But I've never had any that last past like an hour where I'm like, these are the best insoles ever. I've always had insoles where I'm like, well, shit.
So, my best socks in the Marine Corps, and if anyone's watching this, I don't care. To be honest with you, it was actually a pair of cotton socks that had, like, the end of it was coyote. So, it looked like you were wearing coyote socks, which was regulation for the Marine Corps. Yeah. But it was actually just cotton underneath. I know. And this is how much I love Marines, because they come up with this shit. Like, they come up with the way that makes more sense.
Yeah.
But it's also a fuck you to the idea fairy that your socks need to be a certain color in order to be a warfighter. Like, who gives a shit what your socks are?
True. Like, yes, okay. So you hear people like, oh, well, what about camouflage? They're going to see your ankles. Like, if you've ever seen the modern battlefield, they've seen your ankles already. If you're fighting a modernized opponent, they're not even looking at you with their eyeballs. They're using machine crazy Skynet shit to stare at you.
You're infrared.
Yeah.
You're an infrared. Your heat signature is all that you are.
Yeah, until you're not.
And then it'll be this. It'll be heat signature on a map, and then, whoof, and there's a big white flash.
Yeah, and then some clumpy stuff, the black clumpies.
Right, and then there's a new PFC Hodge coming in with a trash bag. And he's like, which body parts do I need to pick up?
Are these?
That's what happens.
You gotta shake it off, like this away, this away. Yeah.
All right. Well, that went well.
People are just complicated water balloons.
Complicated. That's terrible. I thought of Whitavine when you said that.
No.
He's the one who stepped on the pressure plate.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, so
That's a hell of a fluid dynamics demonstration.
Whitavine was a kid. My ex-wife.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he was the delightful, awful story.
Yeah.
That poor baby.
I know.
What a horrible way to find out, too, though. Because she found out through the grapevine, right?
She found out basically through me.
Yeah. Which...
Sucks ass, right?
But also, too, like, the Keiko's not going to go to the girlfriend. They got one address, and it's mom and dad. Unless they're married or whatever. So, like, it was going to be grapevine-ish one way or the other.
Just like with Chelsea, like, no one takes me seriously because I'm like, oh, we were engaged. And they're like, yeah, so nothing.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll skin you.
Sure,
but
I didn't do your weird,
that's okay.
We didn't do an LLC or whatever the fuck.
Don't worry about it. We were just living together, and I did a 2-year cancer battle with her, 29 rounds, 5 hospitals.
But should have got that ring. Well, the other ring, second ring. Didn't hire a DJ.
We did have the goddamn ring,
I think if you hired a DJ, it would have made it official.
You know what? I'll tell you what. If
or the creepy garter thing.
No, it was actually restrictions because of insurance.
Oh yeah.
Pre-existing conditions, and that's the only reason why she was still married to William. Just to let everyone know, I was her motherfucking husband. Thank you, and let the record state that.
Yeah, this is Michigan. We do common law around here.
I walked her through the hardest time of her life. So, fuck everyone if you don't think I was her husband. I don't give a shit. I don't care.
Yeah, that's...
I was. That is my... She was my Spartan queen.
There's so many needless... It's just... rules, gotcha rules out here, and like barriers to entry, and like you can't just be like, you can't just do the Braveheart thing and be like, I mean, you probably could, but then it still doesn't matter because you got to go register and file for this and get this, and like, yeah, I think we should pay taxes and all this great shit. However, like, I don't know, I still don't like the barrier to entry. I don't like that certain things feel unattainable to people. Because that's fucking ridiculous.
Well, plenty of things are unattainable for me. However, we're finding a way around that. And I want everyone to know that when I was going through the hardest of my times, the ones that were there for me were not my family. So I never had family to fall back on. I don't have a mom and dad. They're gone. They're dead. The only thing that I had was what I had built up to that point. And it was basically people that had seen my capabilities and were willing to give me a shot to say, you know what? You deserve to stay here.
Yeah.
It's basically what...
Yeah, it's fun.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, we like having you around. Well, because, like, a thing with PTSD and any of that shit, too, is it's very easy for... I think it's just how depression is wired. But to get it in your head that, like, I have this problem where I just don't call people that I want to talk to because I'm like, oh, I don't want to bug them. But like, who am I? Like, they can tell me if I'm bugging them, but I just don't even give them the opportunity. I reject myself for them on their behalf, I suppose you could say. Like,
But we should be talking.
yeah,
We should
definitely.
be talking all the time. Is the honest reality is, like, the problem that we're creating for ourselves. We are so quick to cut communication.
Mm-hmm. And there are good reasons and good times to do it, and it's easy to ghost people. It's super easy to do, and it's something that was never really easy to do, like not until the past few years, really. Like, it's not anything anyone considered in the 90s, like outside of maybe you're on a blind date and you figure out they're at this table and you see them and you sneak out before they see you, or like that's the nearest you could do to ghosting somebody outside of just like not showing up to an appointment or something. But or I mean, whatever, I'm sure people are like, what if, but or not what if, but actually, however, words, click them, here we go.
Bing bang boom.
Oh, I forgot. Something about words. And then I was thinking about Madison Avenue and then the stores and then the mannequins. And that's not related. I know completely that that's not related. But that's what I was thinking about. And I got distracted.
This is part of the struggle that we go through every day is we lose train of thought.
Yeah.
We also lose memories.
Yeah.
These are real things that happen.
Yeah,
So-
and like clearly pot's not always going to aid in making that less impactful or whatever, but like really the werewolf medicine's kind of worth it. And then however, even if I wasn't using marijuana, and I've gone without it a number of times too, you're still going to have lapses in memory and blackouts and weird bananas
Well,
kind of little things going on.
let's talk about when I went for this last job,
Yeah.
right? When I went for this last job, I gave it my full effort.
Yeah.
Honestly, I stopped drinking January 18th.
Yep.
That was here.
Yep.
I stopped drinking. I was still smoking weed.
Yeah, because it rules.
But do I operate? You're here. You
Yeah.
see me every day.
I'm definitely...
Do I operate different on weed?
Yeah, actually. But not... There is... I think you're getting the similar thing to me where there's an ability to reach calmness quicker.
Okay.
And then... But, like, as far as, like, what tasks you can accomplish, I'd say no. But as far as,
does
like...
it affect anything that I do, like as far as my priorities? Would
no.
you say okay?
No. I think all it really does for you is change your mood.
What was the level I was working at when I took that last job?
You were hustling the whole way through.
Like, explain it so they get it. Now,
Working nightly and working extra hours and then training people and being pretty lenient and being kind of everybody's favorite manager for the most part. There were a couple who weren't psyched, but it's because they were getting away with shit before and they were having a hard time doing that now. But for the most part, everybody was kind of into, like, that seemed to be like, what you were most proud of was that your employees were enjoying working and that, you know.
I enjoyed working with them a ton.
Yeah. And so that, like, that's kind of... And also, too, like, that's how you get productivity, is if they enjoy doing it, they're going to do it. And then they were, in fact, getting good productivity. And then that one, Cunty McGee went bananas.
Yeah.
And then, I'm sorry, I don't know how she spells it, but yeah. But it sounded like she was pissing in the cage and trying to mark territory, and
she was going after my employees, and I was sober the entire time. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Did I do anything to jeopardize my job during that employment?
Not that I could see.
Okay. And I want that to be noted. Like,
Your Honor, for the record. There we go.
Look, Stevie has no reason. Stevie's like, that heart is pure.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna get anything out of that except for what actually happened. I did put in the work on this last job. I did give it legitimate effort because I wanted to see like if it would be different.
Yeah.
And I found myself doing the same thing no matter what. Like, a lot of people say like, oh, it's because you're drinking. But it's not. I wasn't drinking during that. If I see my people being mistreated, I stood up to the company.
Yeah.
Like, immediately, I was like, I'm not taking another shift until you fix the problem.
Doing a sit-in.
And they were like, yeah, no, so
Goodbye.
you gotta go. Because
Which ended up shooting themselves in the foot on.
they were like, we don't know what to do with this. That's what the Marine Corps did to me as well. When I started, mouthing off to them and saying like, yo, I'm doing what you guys said.
Yeah.
And they were like,
Yeah, but we don't
yeah,
like it.
but we don't like it when people talk back to us. And I was like, I'm one of your best.
Like, that doesn't matter. We'll get more bests.
Well, don't worry. They showed me the brig and a bus stop. Yep. That's what I got. So, yeah, no. Totally got it. But the Marine Corps can operate without you.
Yeah, they'll figure it out. They're like, we'll be fine. All right.
Don't worry, I did. My replacement came in a year and a half later.
Mm-hmm.
So much shit got fucked. Just let you know. But what they'll do is they'll say, we're not going to count those records because
Like, there was a thing. There was a tornado.
That's Hodge's fault.
What are you going to do?
They will literally put everything on my name. They'll hang everything
yeah.
on me that they can.
Might as well.
And they'll be like, well,
Like,
Hodge,
literally nothing can come of it.
Hodge lost his goddamn mind because he held his mom. Well,
It was crazy. He stole all them pens out of the supply locker, too. What pens? Yeah, I mean, a bunch of pens and them clips. And did you take a bunch of pens and clips? No.
And why would Hodge go crazy? I mean, there's no reason for it.
There's no reason. It's not like we blew him up and killed his family or nothing.
Right, no. We didn't do any of that. No big deal.
NBD gang.
Kid, you gotta move on.
Get your shit figured out, boy.
Oh my god. I think when people say that,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, I was trying to move over. I move on, though. Yeah, I'll give that a shot. Moving on. I was moving over the whole fucking time. I guess that makes sense because you move on or over, and
well, when
I
people
was gonna
say
try moving under next time. I
people
appreciate
say
you
like
coming
get
in.
over it. I'm like,
Yeah, I just go no. I say all kinds of shit.
I'm sorry,
No.
but who the fuck are you to tell me to get over anything? First of all, like who, like, would I go up to you and be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, did you not like that? We'll get over it." What would your immediate reaction be to that?
It's a hard one, because my immediate reaction, it really depends on the circumstance too, because like, so, and this is coming from the unique, so I want to be clear, if I ever mention some crazy shit my parents have done, they get it. They're aware that it's crazy.
Yo,
and
Jenny's parents are fucking awesome, by the way.
They're saints. They're saints.
They are awesome.
We come
They're autistic.
from, a crop of like semi-autistic warriors who've been bred since time immemorial. Like, all of my family's names have crazy meanings, like Sons of Fire and shit like that. It's goddamn ridiculous. And so we're all bred for war, and we're just a bunch of dopey sweeties. And so some of the dopey
awesome.
sweetie, luckily we're getting more sweetie. We're getting the dopey kind of bread out. My brother and I are like on paper geniuses, which is a problem. But they would have, where was that going? Because I wanted to preface that because I was going to mention some wildness they pulled off.
Oh,
those poor.
First of all, I'm wild, so Jenny is having to kind of adjust to this.
The like. So, I would get a lot of stuff of, I was encouraged not to cry. And so anytime I would cry or be upset, it would be like, I'll give you something to cry about. Now, they would seldom, like, I'd say never, but that's probably not true either. Like, once or twice, I'll bet you. But, like, there was a whole diminishing of, so anytime I had a personal grievance, it was always kind of immediately diminished, and so I just got used to diminishing my own personal grievances. Like, somebody fucks me over, and I just go, alright. No, I'm good. I got my little set up here. Yeah, so I'd you know, people are like, what are you going to do about it? I go, well, nothing. Or like, you're a bitch. I go, probably. Because after a while, I don't know. And it was just how my folks were told when I was a baby. Like, they were told people would have these fucking stupid books out there, how to raise people. And it would say, if the baby's crying, just ignore it. Lock the door and turn on the TV and all that kind of bullshit. And so that's what they did, because they're following instructions, doing what they're told. You know. And it is what it is.
Most really do.
Because had they gone in and shut me up, it would have been easier. But, like, their books were like, that'll turn your kid into a faggot. Well, dang.
Mission accomplished.
Like, you could have came in and just...
Don't worry, you struck twice.
Sorry,
You struck...
wasted time.
You hit the battleship in 2 spots that
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, if we had a third, they'd be a lesbian. Though I'm, you know, don't worry, ladies, I'll fuck you too. I'm all about it. I'm a party animal. I'm all about the pilot, not necessarily the aircraft they command.
I'll fuck a goddamn light socket like it was meant to be mine.
Let's see if I'm gonna.
I think that's how it... Is that how I turn into a superhero?
Having sex with an electrical socket?
Yeah.
That could be. That is
That's like a...
It's in
Like a Spider-Man moment?
something. Or at least like a Daredevil book, or... Because Daredevil, you know, he can't see. Ooh, you're... Though, he would be pretty close to the wall. Kind of have like a hint of what's going on. This hurts my knees to kind of... 1 viewer. I like it.
Who's the viewer?
Oh, 0 viewers. I like it.
You better.
Where is it actually on? Oh, it is still working.
Oh, is the audio on?
Mm-hmm. I think so. Let me check again. Checking again. Yeah, dude. It's
Okay.
working.
Well, we're on.
We even got a like. That's terrific. Yeah, man. It's yeah, it took me a long time cuz some of my like lateness in coming out was because I never attempted to develop a sense of personal confidence. I had a fake version. I had this sort of like weird ego-driven mask, like this thing that needed to get by in other places where that kind of shit was necessary, and the kind of like bravado stuff. So
well, yeah.
I sort of
what we had to do in the military.
Yeah.
I mean, you were asked to be something.
Well, yeah, because that's like
that we aren't meant to be
the whole
necessarily. We had to be it.
Right, and like it was against the law for me to think about it.
About being gay or trans?
Both.
Oh, see, trans wasn't an issue.
Right.
Up to like a couple years ago. Yeah, no.
Till super recent.
Let's just make that known for everyone that no one had a fucking problem.
Yeah, we've been here for thousands of years.
Thousands
now,
of years. I mean, there's literally so much proof out there.
It's weird that
we've been doing the same thing for thousands of years. What's baffling is like we're still acting like this is a surprise.
Yeah,
it's not.
It's just like, well, it's so the whole thing, and so if you see under my name it says OJS, and then there's GWOT, Global War on Terror, and then Operation Enduring Freedom, and then there's OIF, Operation Iraqi
What is
Freedom.
OJS, by the way?
That's Operation Jumpstart. And so the reason that ties into the trans thing is this. After the global war on terrorism started, and we went into Operation Enduring Freedom into Afghanistan, and we were fighting the war on terror, and we made sure everybody was wigging out about these Muslims. Then we started Operation Jumpstart, where we go, hey, don't forget about the Mexicans. And then we started getting into the gang wars, and MS-13's coming for ya, and now the fentanyl, and now the blah 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 blah. And it's this long series of like, be afraid of the Muslims, now be afraid of the Mexicans, now be afraid of the blacks, now be afraid of the queers, now be afraid of the Jews, now be afraid of this, now be afraid of that. It's fucking stupid. It's a waste of goddamn time is what it is.
By the way, we are programmed, like, whatever we're told to be an enemy of, we will do it, by the way, like...
For the most part, yeah. If I concur with the assignment.
In the end, I was like, no, I'm not down with the get down anymore. Because I was past the point where I was like...
I still would have done the job for sure, but it was nearly impossible for me to maintain my sort of mental... To stay just Forrest. Because... to a degree, Forrest quit, and
I quit. I quit when my mom died,
and that's a super common thing too for someone to become sort of so despondent and so detached.
They don't know what to do with that shit. They're like,
you just end up on autopilot to some degree.
They're like, well, you can't just do that. I'm like,
I don't have a fucking choice here.
They're like, no. Well, I'm sorry. I said no. If look, motherfuckers, like I am still human. If I reach my breaking point, that's my fucking choice. And I did. Like, my mom died, and the way that she died, I was like, you know what? I'm fucking done.
Yeah.
Rancor didn't take too kindly of that because I just got promoted to gunny and
Yeah.
like they didn't want to
They do
accept
have high hopes for
that someone from that degree would be like, yo.
Well, that's a lot of it.
I'm cashing in my chips.
Is this I? Because that's not what they want to promote, which is ultimately fine. Because I don't know that. However, like, it's a real sort of dummy and juvenile way of doing it, where like, yeah, you don't want to promote people not doing their job. However, that's not really what's going on here. Like, their job didn't get done because of some way crazier shit's going on. And the idea that, like, oh, we could ignore the way crazier shit, I'm just going to punish you for... And, like, sure, I didn't get my report in, or whatever the fuck people want to be pissy about. Yeah. You know, make sure it gets done, yada yada. We all got responsibilities. But... take care of it at the source. Like, figure out what the hell's actually going on instead of, like, you know, and especially if you have, like, a star performer or even, like, just an okay performer. If you see any change in performance whatsoever, start asking questions. If they are slackasses who do nothing and then all of a sudden with zero inspiration from you start busting their hump, figure out what's going on. See what's up. They may have some crazy new thing going on in their life. Same as anybody who was busting their ass and all of a sudden just stops caring. Or stops, you know, like... And don't do the tough guy thing, because that's fucking stupid. You're not tough, and it's not useful. It's not a good tactic to be like, well, you better get your shit together. Because, like, alright. How? You got a list for me, kid? If you give me a checklist, I will fucking do it one by one. So you give me a checklist, though. Because I don't know what you mean by get your shit together. I don't know what you mean by get better. I don't, like, those aren't realistic words adults use, you fucking morons. See, that's some of my anger. That's why I can't have a civilian job. Because that's how I talk to civilian managers when they get all fucking weird on me about their stupid bullshit. And it's cruel of me to call their bullshit stupid. Or bullshit. But my brain has very specific piles of like, well, it's not on fire, so it's mostly fine. And
we talked about that earlier. So I have 13 stock points from my mental health condition that a therapist and I have identified. You want me to read them?
Sure, they're kind of interesting.
I mean,
because they're also like super common. Like I had them for quite some time, and I still deal with variations of them. And I think pretty much anybody who goes through PTSD, and I think, and here's the thing too, is like, you know, vets have some like clear delineation as to like what their shit was, but there are for sure civilians, and like when we kind of see the darkness in each other's eyes, we can like, oh, you're one of us, kid, come hang out, and that's a real thing too, and so, you know, if you've been through, the way I put it recently is like, if you get pushed into the darkness, you get pushed into the darkness. That's just what the fuck happened. And there are some of us who are a bit like protective of our darkness and our experience in the darkness. But I think we all need to learn to be compassionate to others in that situation, and we're all learning that too. But like, I mean to say, if you're in some rough shit in your own civilian life, go talk to a veteran buddy. I shit you not. 'Cause especially if they were like in for longer than 2-3 years, they'll have had some kind of counseling training that you'll be surprised is actually super effective for a lot of what's going on. And plus they're just great to talk to, and they're not going to be as easily surprised by whatever. They've seen and heard way weirder shit than whatever you're going to tell them. And so, you know, if you're having trouble
talking to your veteran buddies, don't get too gauge it, because sometimes we can be a little leery and we need alone time. We're like fighting dogs. But if you've got a thing that, don't try, and this is where some people run into difficulty, is where you make the comparison and you don't want it to show that it's the same thing, but you do kind of want to show, hey bud, that it's having a comparable impact. That, like, you didn't touch the same electric fence, but you've touched a fence and you're pretty sure it was close. And then, maybe they'll tell you, like, no, mine was 10,000 volts and mine was 50 volts. All right. So what are you going to do?
So here we go.
Here we go.
My stuck points. This was done with a license,
a driver's license and everything.
Licensed psychologist, by the way. This was not done by me. This was done professionally. Put together. These are things that I
get stuck on.
I have implanted in my brain that are not of logical thought.
Yeah.
But cause me trouble all the time because this is what I see as reality. The number one thing is nowhere is safe.
Sometimes these also get called negative cognitions in certain therapy circles too.
Right. Number two, I need to be on guard at all times because anything can happen.
Literally anything.
Number three, it's not safe to trust people because I can't know what's in their mind. Number four, if I don't maintain control of everything, everything's gonna go to shit. Number five, because other people haven't had my experience, their judgment is... I don't know what that word is, but their judgment is isn't competent. I think is what I was trying to say.
Right. Like they're speaking from a position of incompetence. Like
they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So, because other people haven't been through my experience, your experience is basically bullshit. Number five is because other people... Oh, no, that was that one. Number six, I have to portray an intimidating presence to protect myself. Number seven is if most people know everything I've seen and done, they would reject me. Number eight is the fact that I couldn't anticipate people doing things makes me naive. Number nine, if a problem doesn't rise to the level it was overseas, it wasn't the same. Number 10 is complacency kills. Number 11, if I let myself get too angry, I won't be able to control the consequences. Number 12, I'm more likely to experience traumatic losses than others. And lucky number 13, if I experience another traumatic loss, I won't recover from it. Which, this was actually done before Chelsea passed away.
Yeah. And it's a lot of stuff you were working on before and you're working on still, and there's a lot of things in there that I share from my own stuff, and there's definitely some stuff you've got that's pretty unique to where you're at. But like what I find interesting is that the commonalities and how like a lot of those are common to other people with PTSD. Like once we get Iggy back up here, Iggy'd be nodding his head to all that shit too, I bet you. Like it's really kind of wild. And what's also kind of crazy is like these negative cognitions, as they get called, stuck points, is kind of interesting.
That's what the...
Because it's like a place you get
therapist
stuck.
terms.
And,
yeah. It was actually on a forum.
And most of them are objectively not true. There are things where we can talk ourselves into them very easily. We can take little pieces of things and stitch ourselves stories to make them true. Of like, I'm a piece of shit. One time I did this, and one time I did that, and nobody was going to like me, and blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, it's all of that difficult pain makes the process of isolating yourself easier. It makes you seek people out less. And so it makes it easier to be alone.
It makes you narcissistic.
It can for sure.
It makes you...
And if you're already in that wheelhouse, you'll continue to tap dance in it.
Going to war and then coming back, like, you automatically put yourself above everyone. Because you're like,
yeah,
did you do that? Because...
And I
know that's one thing I can hold above everyone else, is I can be like, you go to combat? And they would be like, yeah, I did. I'd be like, oh yeah?
Was it awesome?
What kind of combat did you go into? Was it Fallujah? Did you lose a bunch of people?
Right.
Did you see a bunch of people get hurt? Like, what was your combat level? And when they talk back to you, they're like, well, I didn't need to go through the same thing you did. And I'm like, well...
Correct.
No.
However.
We don't need to go through the same thing. But I also see myself way above you regardless.
Yeah.
Just because I went to combat. Like...
Yeah, because it's sort of the point of a lot of that shit. Is like, and I wasn't a fighter. That wasn't my business. And so...
Oh, you did a different thing.
Yeah. I liked it.
Different thing entirely. I'm saying like the...
But... And then like I got spooked by different shit too. I mostly lost the ability to maintain from... I had developed enough tactics. I wasn't really aware of it, but I had sort of developed enough tactics to get by before, and then they just kind of fell apart. But half of that was because they kept putting me on and off Vicodin and shit. And so I was on opiate withdrawals in the middle of a deployment, and like it was... The whole thing was just absurd. It was nonsense. It didn't make any goddamn sense, none of it. And like it was very difficult for me to try and stay sane in that situation, because it was one thing after the other. Was just this weird mash level of like, what the fuck are you talking about? I need you to do this. Why is that a thing out here?
Like, it just... And I couldn't anymore. And the parts of me that were... Because I kept myself together like that so I could serve. And then when I kind of couldn't, like, I don't know. It was such a fuck around fest. Like, I was waiting for it to get serious. And then when the serious stuff happened, it still didn't get serious. It was still amateur hour bullshit. Like, it was really... I couldn't keep my shit together. And then I just went into sort of this retreat mentally and just disappeared into like a coma.
I
Oh,
get it. I get it for the sense that when you go to war, it doesn't matter what you're doing in war. You know you're in the war.
Yeah, you end up behind the curtain, so to speak, in like the Wizard of Oz metaphor, and you see, and I think, because this is where we get recognition, where like you give me a lot of credit for what I've been through, because at a minimum I was behind the curtain, and then I give you a lot of respect for what you've done, because you went way further behind the curtain than I did, and I was back, moving pieces and doing whatever, but like, you were kind of where the meat hits the ground in a number of ways. And like...
But I didn't... I mean, I'm not your... Look, there were folks that I know from my deployment that saw way more gruesome shit.
Right, that's always the crazy part, too. You hear one person like, oh my god, you gotta hear Terry's story, and then Terry tells you their story. Like,
you don't want to tell your story.
And then Terry tells their story, and they're like, you gotta hear Mike. And then Mike tells you their story, and like, you gotta hear Daniela's story. Daniela tells her story. And you just go down the line, and it just gets worse. Like, does anybody's day get better around here? What the fuck is this? Like, it's insanity.
No, that's... Well, I was like, my story isn't shit.
Dude, that's the wild... I thought that for ages.
I heard stories...
I had other people tell me my life story back to me, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting. And I'm like, oh, that's alright. I guess I did do... Like, I wasn't paying attention, too. I was moving so quick, I had no idea what I was up to until it was all done, and I'm like, oh, I did all that? That's kind of cool. What else did I do? Like, that's a lot of my personal history. It's like, oh, really? What else did I do? Did people like it? Did I like it? Did I have a fun outfit? What happened? Tell me.
So, I had a breakthrough today.
Yeah, break on through to
we,
the other side.
We don't get these very often, but I was able to have one today, earlier.
Because of... Is that part interesting too? Like the full precipitation? Because you were having... Last night, you went a little hard into the paint. Your little dog farts are hilarious right now. And then... So that caused you to be in sort of a bit of a regretful mood this morning. And then while we were talking through that, we were talking about sort of... I think I was going through like all my weird ideas on like when these things form in us, but I think all I said was like a critical phase, and you were like all of a sudden like do 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 do, and it was like because you were sitting on the stairs, and then I said a sentence which I won't say just in case, and then like immediately you were time traveling, and then you were like, I just had a memory. And I was like, oh, fuck,
So,
dude.
Sometimes when we go through stuff, we don't know what to
She
make
woke
of
herself
it.
up with it. Yeah.
So we just erase it And
well, and then I think too, because you've been asking about this, and I've been asking about it too in my own life. Like when we get into these sort of tendencies to pick fights that we don't need to be picking, that we don't want to be picking, but we're just in the middle of them all of a sudden. And a lot of times there's this like causing distress to sort of show how distressed you are, but I think in a lot of cases it's more than that. I think it's more like digging out a chunk of emotional shrapnel. Like there's half a memory in your head and you're trying to do whatever the fuck it's going to take to get it out of you. And I think in a lot of cases, because especially for like veterans, that's caused or formed in a more aggressive kind of critter. Like I don't know if that's it or not, or like, you know, I'm too dumb to guess on shit like that and have it be any kind of thing useful, but like there is a thing to I don't know. I'm losing it. My brain's falling apart because
keep going.
I beat myself up too much, and then I yelled at myself for beating myself up too much, and then I lost place of what I was thinking. Because that's how my brain works. In parts. Yeah. Something about our brains forming things. But yeah.
Coming up with memory.
Like starting because I've had that too a few times where I get in this like real pissy mood for a while, and I'm real combative for no reason, just because it's Thursday, and then but sort of at the end of this like madness, there's usually some kind of like like it's never really a great memory that pops up. It's never like, oh yeah, Cedar Point's awesome. It's usually something like semi-horrific. Yeah. Like a regressed memory from trauma, like a piece of, you know. And it's weird too, because it could be a phrase that gets you thinking about something, or a song, or a smell. Like I've wigged out because of printer toner before, because it kind of smells a little bit like a car accident, because there's kind of like a burny plastic smell.
Well, I always thought it was badass that I got blown up twice in a day.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool story to have survived that, because a lot of fellers don't even survive the first one.
What I didn't realize is everything it came with.
Yeah.
I was only 19. 19 is like...
That's babies.
You're going through college.
Yeah, I feel creepy trying to date 19-year-olds.
I mean...
As you all should.
I would fuck the shit out of one, but...
Well, there's that. I said date.
I don't think you can date them. You just gotta...
I don't know. I like cartoons. What are these kids
They don't
into?
watch cartoons these days.
Oh yeah, they all watch like 60 Minutes and like
Hentai.
crime docu. Ooh, all right. Now I'm back in.
Nah, joking.
Introduce me to these hentais, kid. I assume it's a type of chicken.
Find the nearest college. Just, like,
oh yeah. Yeah, that could tell me a lot of information of like, oh, that's why all these cat-masked young lads are over here. Beep beep boop. At the same distance. Get a different mask, lads.
so, I'm having...
Flashbacks. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Flashbacks.
Which are great fun.
It is, and it's like, I describe it as time travel. I had my buddy over here, Will Starling, the great movie producer. He works for, who do you say now? Pixar now. Fucking killing it. He made that bird movie y'all like, with the Mayo. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I love you, Will. But he's also a big fan of Kurt Vonnegut, and so I can explain to him as a civilian in like quick terms, you know, the Cronus and Glastic Infundibulum, which if you haven't read Vonnegut, that sounds like complete nonsense, because it mostly is. But it's this idea of being unstuck in time, and I think it really struck a chord with him, because he understood exactly what I meant when I said I'm 30, and then I'm 40, and then I'm 20, and then I'm 40, and then I'm 19, and then I'm 20, and then we're constantly time traveling. It's, these flashbacks aren't just, and I'm not saying like, oh, there's a puff of smoke and quantum leap and I can change past. No. My hypothesis is that it's the nearest thing to the like raw data. Like, we're going to the original fucking tapes with this shit. Like, some people have memories where they're like, I think it was sunny, whereas I can like feel it on my skin, which that shouldn't be. That's not how normal people remember stuff, as far as I mean, nobody's clued me on that they're also doing it that way. But I think with us it becomes like, it's not just anecdotal memory, it's like environmental memory. We remember how things taste, like how dust tastes and how oils feel, and textures and sounds of how tapes grip and ungrip. Just weird shit that you wouldn't even think of, that all of a sudden you're like, well, it's weird, I know that sound now. I don't know. What are you thinking there, sleepyhead?
Maya's going to like a shutdown mode.
Yeah, you want to call it? It's already 1 a.m. I've only been at it for, I don't know, like an hour or two.
I can't handle much more.
Word. Then I'm just going to be getting high to the microphone. Hi. Well, gang, we appreciate you jumping in with us. We're hoping to do this a little bit more frequently and regularly. This was a first kind of experiment to get this set up here, just kind of my living room, just so we can hang out and get it done. And then we're looking at building a fortress and a farm and all kinds of fun shit here in the future. But we don't want to give too many spoilers on that just yet. People in the know already know. People who want to know can ask us, and we'll let you know. But I'm hoping for the first round we'll figure some shit out by at least before the end of July. And then October, like, we should have a cool time in fall to kind of break it in, I'm thinking. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you hanging out with us, Stork. And I'll send you guys away with some Twin. You know they're our favorites. And check them out on their Bandcamp link when you get a chance to. They're clearly pretty groovy. Alright. Love you, gang.